Prologue. When the officers stormed the boatyard, Amina didn't look shocked. She looked betrayed. She glanced at Elin, and something in her sealed shut. Elin, the only woman she had trusted with her secret, and the one whose betrayal had just cost her everything. When Elin tried to speak, Amina shut her down with a single, broken whisper. "Traitor!" And just like that, the sea turned against them. Chapter 1. Weeks earlier, before the betrayal had a name, a motorboat slipped into Lamu's harbor, its sail catching the soft morning wind. Elin stepped off the boat, one hand gripping her notebook, the other shielding her eyes from the bright sun. The town unfolded slowly, deliberately, like a painting revealed stroke by stroke: coral stone houses, carved wooden doors, shadows pooling in narrow alleys. Lama watched you before you knew how to look back. She stepped onto the jetty. Sea salt and cardamom drifted through the air, coaxing her deeper into the island's rhythm. She drew in a slow breath, reminding herself why she was here. To do an architectural travel feature on Swahili coastal heritage. A harmless story. Her phone buzzed. A reminder from her sponsor, the Scandinavian development firm funding the trip. Focus on areas designated for redevelopment, they said. Highlight inefficiencies. We want to soft-sell the modernization idea to the locals. Elin locked the screen. Not now. Not while she could still pretend this assignment didn't come with strings. A voice behind her broke the moment. "Elin?" She turned. A tall woman stood a few paces away, sun-warmed skin, dark unreadable eyes, a light headscarf framing her face. An indigo blouse shifted like water with every breath. "I'm Amina," she said. "Your guide." The words were simple. The delivery wasn't. Elin straightened without meaning to. "Right, yes." She extended her hand. "Nice to meet you." Amina studied her for half a second before shaking her hand. Her grip was warm, calloused. "Come," she said, "before the heat settles." They moved into the old town, harbor sounds fading behind them, replaced by donkeys, rustling palms, soft footfalls on stone. Barefoot children ran past, laughing. A shopkeeper arranged turmeric, chili, and cloves in careful piles of gold and red. Amina walked with quiet authority. "Elin," she said over her shoulder, "what brings you here?" "I'm writing about Swahili architecture. History. What remains? What's changing?" Amina made a sound that wasn't quite agreement. "People come for many reasons," she said. "Some to see, some to take, some to understand. It's important to know which one you are." The word stung, just a little. "I'm here to understand," Elin said. "We'll see." They walked deeper. Amina gestured toward coral stone walls, carved lintels. "These houses were built to breathe with the ocean," she said. "Air moves through them like a tide." Her voice softened. Something unguarded slipping through. Elin noticed the way Amina's fingers brushed each surface, like greeting old friends. "You really love this place," Elin murmured. Amina stopped. Turned. "Unfortunately, loving something doesn't mean it will stay," she said. "Especially now." "Because of redevelopment?" Elin asked. Amina's jaw tightened. "Because people with money think history is an inconvenience." Elin swallowed. The sponsor's email pulsed in her pocket like a countdown. Standing there, with Amina's hand warm against coral stone, Elin understood something with sudden, sinking clarity. To finish her assignment, she would have to betray this place. And Amina would be the first to know about that betrayal. They moved on. Through a spice market. Past a courtyard where an elderly calligrapher etched verses into teakwood. By the time Amina led her to a shaded rooftop overlooking the sea, the tension between them had shifted, still taut, but now threaded with curiosity. Admiration. A cautious magnetism neither named. "You might want to write your notes here," Amina said. "Most visitors find the view clarifying." The ocean stretched endlessly before them. "It's beautiful," Elin whispered. Behind her, Amina's voice dropped. "If only beauty meant safety." Elin turned. "Is something happening in Lamu that I should know about?" Amina held her gaze. "Steady. Measuring. Some things aren't meant for outsiders," she said. "And some stories shouldn't be written at all." Then her composure slid back into place. We continue after lunch. I'll pick you up, Amina said. She was gone before Elin could respond. Meanwhile, across the narrow stretch of water, a dhow yard buzzed. Men sanding holes, hammers ringing, ropes tightening around secrets no one dared speak aloud. Elin didn't know it yet, but her unraveling would begin there. And as she would soon find out, Amina, calm, guarded Amina, was hiding far more than the town's history. Chapter 2. The next day, Elin woke to donkey bells. Soft. Irregular. Close enough to feel personal. Morning light filtered through the carved lattice window, striping the room in pale gold. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she remembered Amina's eyes on her the night before. Alert, assessing, as if Elin had been entered into a ledger she hadn't known existed. Outside, the alley hummed awake. Amina was already there. Not leaning. Not pacing. Just standing, scarf pulled back, gaze lifted as if she'd been there long enough to memorize the wall across from her. You're early, Elin said. The town prefers it. They set off. The alleys were narrower here, older. Coral walls pressed close, already warm. Donkeys passed in a single file, their bells chiming softly. And people looked. Not openly. Not rudely. Just long enough to mark her. And Amina beside her. Do they always watch visitors like this? Elin murmured. They're watching me. The words landed flat. Unemotional. Heavier than they sounded. Their first stop sat behind a low arch. Inside, the air was cool and smelled of ink and old wood. An elderly man sat cross-legged, reed pen poised above parchment. This is Ustad Omar, Amina said. He does the most stunning calligraphy. He looked at Elin once, then back at Amina. You bring outsiders now, he said. She's here to learn. Learning attracts eyes, Omar said. He slid the parchment forward. Our craft survives because we repeat it quietly. Elin studied the intricate art. Once outside, as they were leaving, Elin said to Amina, he thinks I'm a problem. He thinks attention is. They walked on. At a coral carver's stall, a broad-shouldered woman paused mid-strike. Her gaze softened at Elin. Then tightened at Amina. Careful what you show, she said. Not unkindly, but firm. Elin felt it then. These weren't greetings. They were checks. At the spice market, color exploded, reds, golds, browns stacked like offerings. A trader scooped cardamom into folded paper. Amina pressed the packet into Elin's palm. For your kitchen. I don't cook, Elin said. Amina smiled, brief, genuine, dangerous. You will. Their fingers brushed. Neither pulling away. They reached a small square where children scattered, laughter ricocheting off stone. An older man called out in Swahili. One word. Amina stopped. Her hand closed around Elin's elbow, firm, protective. We're done, Amina said quietly. What? Why? We're done for now. Amina repeated. They turned sharply. Routes abandoned. Corners taken fast. Too many eyes. They stopped beside a high coral wall tangled with vines. Amina pressed her palm to the stone, breathing slowly. This town has rooms outsiders aren't meant to enter, she said. And doors that stay closed for a reason. She looked at Elin, her face intent. I will show you what is safe, she said. And nothing that isn't. The boundary was clear. Across the water, hammers rang against wood. The boatyards were awake. Chapter 3. Elin didn't expect Amina to come back. But when she stepped into the alley the next morning, Amina was already there, leaning against coral stone, scarf low over her brow. Not waiting. Just present. Ready? Amina asked. They didn't take the main road. The alleys narrowed until their shoulders brushed. These passages were built for shade, Amina said. A pause. And privacy. They stopped at a low wooden door nearly swallowed by hibiscus. Inside was a courtyard garden. Green. Cool. Forgotten. This used to be a scholar's garden, Amina said. Students studied here. It feels untouched. Elin observed. No, it was deliberately forgotten. Amina responded. They sat on broken steps, sharing rice and fried fish. Knees brushed. You move through this place like it knows you, Elin said. I grew up here. Then softer, but familiarity doesn't always mean we are safe. Elin hesitated. Yesterday, did I cross a line? You didn't. Amina assured her. But something did. Elin persisted. Amina stared at the wall. Secrets are currency here. Elin leaned closer. Are you in trouble? In Lamu, Amina said, trouble is like a tide. It comes and goes. Fear surfaced. Just enough. If there's something I should avoid, Elin started, but Amina interjected. We should go, she said. Walls up. Control restored. Be patient with this story, Amina said gently at the door. Some don't survive being rushed. Then she left. Elin stayed. Confused. Wanting more. Wanting her. And understanding with sudden clarity that Amina wasn't just guiding her through Lamu. She was controlling how close Elin came to the truth. Chapter 4. The next day, after their usual tour, Elin told herself she wasn't following Amina. She was simply walking in the same direction. At the same hour. Through the same narrowing alleys as the sky bruised into gold. But her feet knew better. Her pulse definitely did. Amina had been distant all afternoon, polite, contained, guarded in a way that felt like cooling sand slipping through Elin's fingers. When she'd excused herself early with a quiet, I have an errand excuse, something in Elin tightened. Now, dusk settled over Lamu, soft and watchful. Carved doors turned to silhouettes. Rooftops jagged against the sky. The air hummed with crickets and the slow breath of the sea. Amina walked ahead, aware or pretending not to be. Just far enough not to invite notice. Close enough not to disappear. When she turned toward the dhow yards, the very place she had avoided all week, Elin stopped. She had a choice. A line she could still refuse to cross. But she crossed it. The dhow yards rose like a skeletal forest, half-built hulls, ribs of wood, lamplight caught in dust. Men worked silently, heads wrapped in cloth, chisels striking an ancient rhythm. Elin slipped behind a stack of timber, hard hammering. A figure stepped into the light. Amina. But not the Amina Elin knew. Loose trousers. Faded shirt. A cap pulled low. She moved with the easy certainty of someone who belonged. When a man called out, Amin, Amin, Hizimbao, Ziko Sawa. She nodded without hesitation. They think she's a man. Elin covered her mouth. Amina bent over a keel, fingers tracing the curve of the wood with practiced reverence. An older man passed her a tool without looking. She accepted it like this was routine. Like this was history. And the men. They didn't tolerate her. They relied on her. Elin felt something shift, heavier than admiration, sharper than awe. Something dangerous. She stepped forward without realizing. Sand crunched. Amina's head snapped up. Her eyes found Elin instantly. The stillness that followed was absolute. Amina handed the tool back, wiped her hands on her trousers, and walked toward her. Each step tightened the air. Elin, she said quietly, you shouldn't be here. I didn't know, Elin whispered. I wasn't trying to. Trying to what? Follow me? Amina interjected. No irony. Just exhaustion. Then, in a low voice she added, what you see here doesn't leave this shed. Elin glanced at the men. None looked up. None seemed to care. Amina stepped closer. Some stories shouldn't be written, she emphasized. The words landed like a hand on Elin's chest. Like Amina knew she was the danger. The proposal. The redevelopment brief. The plan to modernize Lamu. If she wrote the article as instructed, if she submitted it clean and polished and compliant, it would erase this place. Erase Amina's world. Amina had no idea the extent of damage that Elin was capable of. How accurate her fears were. You see now, Amina continued. Why I keep my stories close. Amina. I know you didn't mean to intrude, she said gently. But intention isn't protection. She stepped back. Go home, Elin. Amina, wait. Amina turned back to her tools. To the men. To the life she kept hidden to protect the craft she loved. Elin stood alone in the doorway, heart twisting with guilt and understanding. She had crossed a line. And now she had yet another choice to make. Chapter 5. Elin didn't plan to return to the dhow yards. But by late afternoon the next day, the sun sagged low and heavy, and her feet carried her back to the shore anyway. At dusk, only one lamp glowed in the shed. Only one figure moved. Amina worked alone, sanding the curve of a hull. Sawdust clung to her arms. Her cap was gone. Her scarf pushed back. She looked different this way. Unarmored. Elin hovered at the doorway. I brought food. Fish and chapati. Still warm. Amina paused. You didn't have to. I know, Elin said. I wanted to. A breath. Then quiet surrender. Come in. Before the mosquitoes make a meal of you. They sat on overturned crates. Elin broke the chapati and handed Amina the larger piece without thinking. Amina noticed. Said nothing. After a while, Amina spoke lightly. Most visitors don't come here. I prefer places that don't perform, Elin said. Amina huffed. Then you're in the wrong profession. Elin laughed. The sound loosened something between them. Amina stood. Since you seem intent on ignoring my orders that you stay away, I could use help. Not an invitation. An excuse. She handed Elin sandpaper. Their fingers brushing. Electric. Follow the grain, Amina said. Elin tried. No. Here. Amina stepped behind her, guiding her hands. Her body pressed close, intentional, unavoidable. Movements aligned. Slow. Rhythmic. Ellen's breath went shallow. You make it look easy, she murmured. Voice husky. It isn't, Amina whispered near her ear. Pushing both her hand and Ellen's gently along the grain of the wood. But you learn, she continued. Her other hand grazed Ellen's hip, steadying her. Steadying them both. Heat built. Unwelcome, unmistakable. Elin stayed very still, afraid that if she moved, it would show. How much Amina's proximity affected her. Then without warning, Amina withdrew. She huffed out a breath. After a while, she reached for a chisel, carefully moving to another part of the hull. Elin immediately missed the intimacy. She crouched beside Amina. Who taught you? Elin asked. My grandfather, Amina said. Every day before dawn. And after sunset. A pause. He said I had the hands. It was enough. Elin almost confessed everything then. Almost. Amina studied her face. Elin, she said calmly, don't misunderstand this. Kindness is not an invitation. The boundary landed clean and sharp. I know, Elin said. For both our sakes, Amina added. The stars came up quietly outside. Amina didn't ask her to leave. She didn't ask her to stay. The line between them tightened. Narrow. Dangerous. Impossible to ignore. Chapter 6. For several mornings after her guided tours ended, they didn't plan to meet. They just found themselves on the same ferry as it coughed awake between Lamu and the mainland. Elin would arrive to find Amina already seated near the bow alone. Eyes fixed on the horizon. She never invited Elin closer. Elin sat beside her anyway. This morning, Elin brought kaimati buns, still warm and sugared. You're going to make enemies, buying lots of kaimatis like this, Amina teased mildly. The school children guard that kaimati stall zealously, you know. Is that your way of calling me brave? Elin teased back. Amina smiled before she could stop herself. They shared the buns slowly. The ferry rocked. Ellen's arm rested against Amina's thigh. Light, accidental in appearance, devastating in effect. Amina didn't move away. Sugar dusted Ellen's lip. Amina noticed. Her gaze stalled there, lingered too long. Her thumb lifted and softly brushed it away. Both of them froze at the contact. Sorry, Amina said too quickly. You had a little sugar on your lip. It's okay, thanks, Elin said. The ferry docked. The moment fractured, but didn't disappear. That moment resurfaced again that afternoon as Amina guided Elin on the beachfront. A fisherman's voice rang out sharply. Ayo. Where are you going with that plank? Amina stopped cold. Elin felt it before she understood it. Amina's body locking beside her, breath caught tight. Instinct moved Amina forward. She stepped closer, her hip brushing Ellen's, her shoulder angling protectively. Elin was about to respond to the man. But Amina interjected. Elin. Her voice was low. Controlled. Don't. You can't step into things you don't understand. Amina warned. But I want to. The words came out softer than Elin intended. Amina closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, something bright and wounded flickered there. That, she said quietly, is exactly what makes our interaction and your tour of this island dangerous. People are already wary of outsiders as it is. They walked home separately. That night, they met again on the rooftop. Elin had a few follow-up questions for Amina regarding the island. Lanterns trembled in the wind. We are living on borrowed hours, Amina said. She stood close. Didn't touch. Elin understood then. This wasn't hesitation. It was containment. And in Lamu, desire made you visible. Amina didn't resist because she didn't want her. She resisted because wanting her could cost her everything. Chapter 7. The next morning felt wrong before anything happened. Lamu woke too early. Shops opened without chatter. Even the donkeys moved quietly. It was as if the island itself was holding its breath. Elin knew before she stepped outside. Today was the day. The council meeting. She followed the slow pull of people toward the town square, notebook tucked under her arm, though for once, she didn't trust herself to write a single sentence. White tents strained beneath tamarind trees. Artisans and traders clustered in groups, their voices low. Amina stood near the back. Still, armed with restraint. The men from the dhow yards flanked her not loudly. Just present. Protective. As if they already sensed what was coming. Elin stopped short of joining them. An official smiled into the microphone. He smiled, the polite, rehearsed smile of someone insulated from consequences. Today, we discuss the proposed Lamu marina development. A low groan rippled through the crowd. Folders were placed on the table. Dark blue. Embossed. Her sponsor's crest. Her chest tightened. The official continued. To ensure navigational safety, he said, non-compliant shoreline structures must be removed. The murmurs sharpened into anger. This includes informal workshops along the old boatyard. The words struck like a dropped tool. A fisherman surged forward. You erase our work and call it progress? Another voice followed, raw, shaking. Those boats fed our fathers. Amina didn't move. But she stiffened. The dhow yard. The shed. Her grandfather's legacy. All marked for removal. Elin's silence began to scream. This meeting was just a formality. Decisions had already been made. The Nordum crest glinted again. Her funding. Her access. Her complicity. Amina turned, just enough. Their eyes met. No anger. Only something softer and far more devastating. Confusion. As if she felt a fracture she couldn't yet name. As if some instinct had begun to whisper that something was wrong here. Elin looked away. The meeting blurred. Voices rose and fell. Promises were made with clean language and dirty intent. Elin heard none of it clearly. All she could feel was the weight settling in her chest. This wasn't about what she would write anymore. It was about what she had already enabled. Her silence was active. And as the officials called for order, as Lamu's future was negotiated in careful language, Elin understood the truth with sickening clarity. The story had already begun. And if she didn't choose a side soon, Amina would pay the price. Hello, my dear Sapphic story lovers. This marks the end of part 1. Elin has the information, and she's just been asked to use it. Please subscribe and join us for part 2 where the consequences begin.